Hello, everyone. Welcome back to not just my stream, but a Silent Hill stream. Uh, yeah, I was trying to do something to make my background more interesting, and I've got this like whiteboard sheet kind of thing that like is stick on to the wall that I had to move because, as you might notice, I've got a bunch of like acoustic panels and stuff now to help uh, dampen any like noise reflection and get a clearer audio from everything, from our voice at least. And so I was like, oh, I should put that back there so I can. Oh, I gotta mirror myself somehow. I should put that back there so that I can like put messages on it. And then I was like, oh, but I usually do the Silent Hill streams kind of in the dark, so is anyone even going to be able to see it? And then I had the chain too, which is thematic or aesthetic to Silent Hill 4. And I was like, oh, but you can't really see it because of the dark. But last minute, I was like, wait a second, I've got a little reading light. I wonder what that would look like if I just did it. No, it's. Uh, Goofing, yeah, you're right. Goofing in the chat saying it's nice mood lighting for Silent Hill, and you couldn't be more right, especially for this particular game. I've mentioned before in other contexts that like one of the things I love about Silent Hill is just the aesthetic, and a lot of that has to do with the lighting. Like when you, especially on the PlayStation 2, when you think about stuff that had very strong aesthetic and had really good lighting, like Silent Hill 3 and Silent Hill 4 still hold up to me in that regard with lighting and aesthetic and textures and stuff. Um, I mean, it's also stuff that I grew up with, so I'm sure there are people who did not grow up with that stuff and will look back at it when I start playing it and just be like, "Oh, this looks so old" or something. But it's still I still love it. Um, I'm gonna be vamping a little bit as I get more of my notes set up and also as people filter into the stream. But welcome. If this is your first time to one of my Silent Hill streams, last year I spent most of the year actually playing the Silent Hill 2 remake. And not only did I talk about the lore and story of Silent Hill 2, which is known for being a seminal video game story, uh, but I also dug into the music because uh, I myself am a musician, as I've. Last time I did this, when I was doing the Silent Hill 2 stream, I had the title like Silent Hill 2 Remake full spoiler slash music commentary, and it was just a mouthful. And it was me with my very like archivist brain who is just like, I need to make it as clear as possible what I'm doing here so that people know. And I think it was just like uh, perhaps too many words for people to bother with. So I was just like, musician plays Silent Hill 4. There we go. That works. Um, hey, Cleo. Cleo says, I was surprised by how well the atmosphere holds up as a newbie. That's the thing, is like, even with the technology they had for the PlayStation 2, they were so good at just establishing an atmosphere and aesthetic from the art style and art direction to the music. Akira Yamaoka's iconic music that I'll be digging into tonight. I will say that if anyone has watched any of my Silent Hill 2 stuff, there will be less for me to dig into thematically with the music this time around because uh, even when these games were first coming out, Silent Hill 2 was kind of unique among the first four by having like recurring themes and being so closely tied to the storytelling with the music. And that was only intensified in the remake where they were able to be even more intentional with that. Uh, Silent Hill 4, there's a ton of really awesome music, but there's maybe a less for me to dig into in terms of like thematic stuff. Like characters don't have specific musical themes. and there's only like one or two pieces of music I think that like recur or uh, happen multiple times, and it's mostly just the vocal tracks that tie closely into the storytelling. So I'll probably have a lot to say about those when those come up, but the rest of the tracks I can do some chord analysis and stuff, and maybe talk a little bit about the way that Akira Yamaoka constructs stuff with the samples and everything. But for the most part, I'm honestly the thing I'm probably gonna, even though I'm billing this as musician plays Silent Hill 4, the thing I'm probably going to be digging into more is the story of Silent Hill 4, because Silent Hill 4 is very divisive in the Silent Hill fan base, because it was the last of the games made specifically by Team Silent, and there are a lot of people that for a long time claimed like, oh, it was never supposed to be a Silent Hill game. That's why it's so like different and such a departure and not as good as the other ones. When it has since been like discovered, like they did, like Team Silent did start working on Silent Hill 4 The Room as kind of its own thing, but it was very early in the process that they decided, no, we want this to be a Silent Hill game. Some of the biggest changes gameplay wise are like you've got breakable weapons, limited inventory, and a bunch of other stuff that I won't get too deep into, because I do want to discuss some of the storytelling elements and like the foreshadowing and stuff. But knowing that this story is less well known, I kind of want to leave some stuff a mystery and discover stuff along the way. And also, I actually haven't played this game probably since I was a teenager. I played it on the PlayStation 2 probably sometime either late high school or early college, and I enjoyed it. But it's like when it comes to movies, TV shows, video games, it's very rare that I will replay something, which kind of gives you an indicator of how good the Silent Hill 2 remake is. When I played it through fully twice and then did a speed run to get the Maria ending right before the end of the stream. But yeah, so Silent Hill 4, Cleo says, they seem to lean into a grungy aesthetic that age really adds to. Time works for the game somehow. Yeah, and that is part of it too, is a lot of that actually is a nice segue into one of the things I wanted to talk about in this little preamble I'm doing before we play the game. The context in which the game came out, like the late 90s, early 2000s had a lot of that grungy aesthetic, not just in Silent Hill, but in just like media in general. It's funny because when I think of stuff from that era that have similar aesthetics, like Silent Hill 4 definitely is in a similar, it came out right in the middle of what I remember as being a huge Japanese horror boom in Hollywood, where you've got Western remakes of The Ring and Dark Water and The Grudge. And so I think those were definitely influences on Silent Hill 4. Like they're going to be specific things that I think will make people think of those movies that I just mentioned. It was also around the time that stuff like House of Leaves and 1408 were coming out, which I don't know if those ones specifically were cited as influences on Silent Hill 4, but you can definitely make connections, particularly with 1408, the Stephen King story. And then I did look up like what the creators cited as specific influences, and Wikipedia, according to Wikipedia, the creators of the game have acknowledged writer Ryu Murakami's book Coin Locker Babies, 1980, and the film The Cell, 2000, as inspirations for the game's premise. And I still haven't seen The Cell. I have heard that it is it is very much like a your mileage may vary sort of movie, but I know that the concept is the idea of like delving into the mind of a serial killer, and that is definitely a big part of what this game is. Uh, I've got a whole like sequence of presenting that I put together for this. Um, but yeah, so to start off, part of the reason I wanted to do this game next rather than any of the other Silent Hill games, I'll mention quickly. I did want to stream Silent Hill F, and I even wanted to talk about the music stuff, but one, I have not played through the game enough to learn the entire story. Um, Two, I would feel a little bit out of my depth when it came to like the specific Japanese influences, and so I'd want to definitely make sure I did my research there and even have like some correspondence with people that are more knowledgeable about that stuff, perhaps. But then the biggest one, in terms of what I have been trying to do, what I tried to do with my Silent Hill 2 stream, and what I am continuing with this stream is they canceled the official release of the Silent Hill F soundtrack. Uh, as far as I can tell, the main reason that uh, people are citing uh, as to why it might have been uh, is because the main theme from Silent Hill F, I believe it's pronounced Mayoi Uta, is based on like an already established song from a Japanese songbook that would have been around at the time that Silent Hill F takes place. And so it makes sense that Akira Yamaoka would want to use that as part of the music here, since it adds to that sense of time and history. But it sounds like they perhaps didn't get the proper rights to that piece of music, and so that might be why that soundtrack was canceled, which sucks because there's so much gorgeous music on it, not just by Akira Yamaoka, but by the other people who worked on the soundtrack that I don't have the names of off the top of my head, but I'm gonna Google really quick. Kensuke Inagi, Dai, and Zaki. Them, along with Akira Yamaoka, created the soundtrack to Silent Hill F, and it's such incredible work, and it sucks that we're never gonna, at least at the time of this streaming, it doesn't look like we're going to be getting an official release for the soundtrack. But yeah, so part of the reason I wanted to do Silent Hill 4 next was partly because of that, and also because Silent Hill 4, in a way, is a spin-off of Silent Hill 2. Silent Hill 2 has an article that mentions a character named Walter Sullivan. And he is referenced. I'll bring this up shortly. I do want to hit what Cleo just brought up in chat. Cleo said, I was going to say that The Cell feels like a movie Brian Fuller would love, but he literally referenced it in Hannibal, didn't he? Yes, he did. I think it was episode 5 of season 2, Mukozuke, when, yeah, with the murder tableau in that episode, and I won't say specifically who is in that murder tableau, because that would be a spoiler. But yeah, so I am actually going to bring up the article from Silent Hill 2 where Walter Sullivan is first referenced. And I'm going to be reading the version from the remake because that's what I streamed, but it's not the language is not too different from the version in the original Silent Hill 2. So is this going to work the way that I want it to? Yes. I wish I could have the text on the screen more clearly for you all, but I'll read off from what I have here. Locane siblings murder. Perpetrator commits suicide in custody. Walter Sullivan, the culprit in a recent homicide case, was found dead, having taken his own life on the morning of the 22nd in his jail cell. According to the police statement, Sullivan's death was caused by blood loss, resulting from severing his carotid artery with a soup spoon buried 2 inches in his neck. Sullivan was apprehended on the 18th of this month on account of brutally murdering Billy and Miriam Locane. Even though Walter Sullivan did not strike a former schoolmate from his hometown of Pleasant River as someone capable of murdering children, the schoolmate admits to having witnessed Sullivan in a state of severe paranoia shortly before his arrest. He was blurting out all sorts of strange stuff like, "He's trying to kill me. He's trying to punish me. The monster, the red devil. Forgive me, I did it, but it wasn't me," he recounts. I guess now that I think of it, he was kind of crazy, the schoolmate concludes. And then I think the only other time that Walter Sullivan is referenced in the game is it's referenced in the quiz in the elevator in the hospital, and then also the gravestone that you in the graveyard you find in the labyrinth. And in Silent Hill 2, he basically just functions as another rehearsal of the themes of the story, this idea of like murderers and killing and that sort of thing. So when they made Silent Hill 4, I guess they were like, hey, let's actually do something with that character. That seems interesting. And we get to explore the history of Walter Sullivan and learn more about him in this game. And I've been, like I said on my Blueprint stream earlier this week, which I've started streaming Blueprints on Mondays if people are interested in seeing that. But I like to think of Silent Hill 4 as a kind of crime drama, psychological thriller in the vein of like The Cell, Silence of the Lambs, Criminal Minds, those sorts of TV shows. The biggest difference between this game and those is that while most of those you're looking into the mind of a killer through the perspective of like an FBI agent, or I think in the case of The Cell, it's Jennifer Lopez's character who's like a medium. In this game, you play Henry Townsend, who is probably the blandest protagonist in all of the Silent Hill series. But it's not. I don't count it as a strike against the game. Yes, most of the other main characters in the series, even in the Western-made games, are more fleshed out, more interesting and dynamic. But Henry Townsend, first of all, like the Silent Hill series is kind of unique already in that they have such fleshed out main characters, especially at that time when a lot of early gaming, the player character was meant to just sort of be a blank slate that you could, the player could step into. And Henry Townsend is probably the best example of one of those in the Silent Hill series. There's a thing that I was going to look up. Let me see if I can find it really quick. I can't remember if this was a fan theory or if it was something actually cited by the creators. But there is a term. Here's something. I've got on the Silent Hill fan wiki, and there's a creator's comment from Naomi Hara, character designer. For this title, we had a concept where we wanted to bring out the realistic, everyday aspects of the game. So the main character, Henry, isn't this super cool guy with anything special about him. We designed him to emphasize the idea of how he's an ordinary man you could find anywhere, who just happens to be living in this ordinary apartment. I don't know if I'm going to find this. But basically, I remember reading years ago that... here it is. A lot of people theorized that, or it might have even been in like an interview or something, that Henry was an example of what the Japanese refer to as hikikomori. Uh, and according to TV tropes, which is the first thing that popped up on Google for me, is a hikikomori is a specific extreme form of shut-in who hasn't left his bedroom for a ridiculously long time, at least 6 months. So I'm getting the impression now that that was probably just a phrase that the fandom started to use for him because, yeah, when you start off the game, Henry is just trapped in his room, and that is basically the whole point of the game. You are Henry Townsend trapped in this apartment, and weird stuff starts happening. So, was there anything else I wanted to talk about before we jump into the game? I'm going to take a drink of water. I'm going to get my screens all prepared for my setup. And then we'll jump into it.